I believe the most crucial advice I can offer my fellow plant-based eaters looking to get into their best shape ever is as follows. Remember, only a small part of this actually comes down to diet, and the rest is largely behavioral. It really is about the implementation. It's about doing this day in, day out. It's about installing the new healthy habits, getting yourself out of those old unhealthy habit cycles. Of course, resisting the emotional eating tendencies, the cravings, and really staying on point with your mindset to stick with this day in, day out, even when you don't always feel motivated or up to it. It really is, this is the great challenge, I suppose, it really is in the implementation, in the doing. And maybe this seems ironic from someone that's made hundreds of videos talking about their particular nutrition code. And I think it is obviously important to talk about the thinking and the strategy behind my diet. And that really has changed my life. But we must contextualize all of this. That is just a small piece of the puzzle to getting in fantastic shape. Because once your diet is sorted on paper, that's great. It's great to have a structure that you feel clear and precise on, yes. But really where most people go wrong, even if they have a damn near perfect diet, frankly, is in actually sticking to that darn thing day in, day out when they don't always feel like it. And let's be honest, you know this as well as I, we can all, when motivation strikes, you'll do anything. You can white knuckle your way through any extreme diet approach, lose goodness knows, 15 pounds in the first 2 weeks, something absurd like that. We can all do that when the motivation is there, but ultimately we know where this goes, all right? Eventually the cracks start to show. You get 3 weeks in, there's only so much you can suppress that hunger, override the cravings, and say no to all the social events and eating out moments in your life because it's just not realistic. And then of course, we know what comes next, right? Inevitably the rebound follows. As I say, you know this very much as well as I. And so the big challenge is, yeah, okay, we need that sustainable plan, and I don't want to sound dismissive of all the conversation around, right, exactly what, how much to eat, how does that look, what about this whole fat thing, what about protein on a plant-based diet? Yeah, really, really crucial. What are we going to do with exercise? Do I need to do the high-intensity stuff, strength training? Yeah, you do need to be clear on those things. Again, don't want to downplay that, but really 90% of this is about actually just doing that plan day in, day out, whether you feel like it or not. And frankly, I think that's why people come to me. And you know, new clients will be very transparent in saying, here's what I need from you, Ryan. And on their list of things is absolutely, I need clear precision on exactly what and how much to eat to lose weight. I don't want to have to do all this calorie stuff myself. You handle all the numbers for me, Ryan, and that's what I do. What do I do about this whole fat thing? I'm still so confused about the healthy fats. The fat you eat is the fat you wear is what I heard. Again, what do I do about the protein? What's my step target, Ryan? What do I do for workouts, exercise, etc., etc.? So yeah, that is why clients come to me. But really, why clients need me and what they're very transparent about at the end of the program is the inner transformation. And that's where most people are stuck, because that makes the actual doing day to day feel second nature, right? When you actually change, when your mindset is on point, you don't have all of this internal resistance, all of this diet friction against the plan you're following. Weight loss stops feeling hard. Being consistent stops feeling like a constant battle day in, day out. And that's not only because you've got a sustainable plan, it's because you've actually changed. And that really, frankly, is what people need me for. It's that feeling of control. It's that feeling of genuine enjoyment for healthy eating, because they are out of the habit of all of the indulgence and the binge eating, giving into every single craving. And that doesn't mean they're perfect all the time, because I'm certainly not, so I'd be a hypocrite putting that standard on my clients. And of course, I've got my policy, as you've very well heard if have been following me for some time here, of controlled flexibility, so we can bend the rules for meals out. It isn't a Puritan program by any means what I do with my clients, but again, we're focusing on the internal transformation for sustainable and lasting success. And I think ultimately that is, not to sound trite, not to sound too cliche here, that really is the difference between dieting, the extreme yo-yo up and down dieting that most people do, that I certainly did a lot of in the past, and genuine actual weight control. And sometimes the sacrifice is slower progress in the short term, but it's funny, by about weeks 4, with the slower, more boring, more sustainable approach, you've actually outperformed the fast extreme approach anyway, because by that point you've rebounded with the fast extreme approach, haven't you, of course? And so yes, it's slower in the short term, but I think the juice is so worth the squeeze. I think the sacrifice of a bit of speed up front on the scale is so worth it to actually find something you can stick to. Anyway, I digress slightly here. That's what I want to say. only about 10% of your energy and effort, and this is my big insight I want to leave you with today, should be focused on sorting out your plan. Do it quickly, right? Be clear on what breakfast, lunch, dinner, any snacks and your workouts, your daily step target looks like for you. Get crystal clear on that now. That shouldn't be dominating your thinking for months and years, but it is. People are stuck on the diet roundabout and they're watching all the What I Eat in a Day videos, thinking recipes, talking about hacks, and getting so caught up in, oh, should I do 10% of calories from fat or 20% of fat, or what about this starch solution thing on Nutritarian? Oh, this Ryan Adams guy, he's saying something slightly different. He's got his own approach as well. People get caught up in that stuff. And again, I say tactics, strategy matter, but really worrying about minutia, if you can't even stay consistent, well, that's your last problem, isn't it? And this is the inner transformation people need, to really have that kind of mindset, again, where it feels second nature. It's not perfect, right? You'll still make mistakes. We all do. I do constantly, still now to this day. But generally speaking, you've changed so much through this process. That's both psychologically and also physiologically in terms of gut bacteria, taste buds, the physical weight loss as well, the removal of the junk food from your dopamigenic system, the biochemistry and whatnot. There is a physiological change that happens that makes consistency easier, but there's a psychological one that happens over time too, again, with regards to resilience, resistance to emotional eating, breaking those established behavior patterns that were keeping you 30 pounds heavier on the scale before. And that's what people really need. That's what my clients come to me for. So I just want to relay that to you at home. Get your plan sorted early, then don't dwell on it too much. You actually need to fairly test it by being consistent. Another insight I would offer is that consistency gets much easier in time. And that's kind of the light at the end of the tunnel. Like the antidote to struggling with consistency is actually more consistency, which is kind of very unprofound to say, but people never quite get there because they're so used to doing the extreme stuff, and lo and behold, of course, giving up on day five, of course. But yeah, part one of this equation is, yes, you need your sustainable plan, but once you feel you've got it, or at least got close to it, even if it's not perfect yet, even if you don't know 100% that it's going to work on the scale, once you've got it, you really need to commit to this process and work on that inner transformation. That's where a lot of your energy and effort should go, I think, once you've got the theory down, once you've got your plan on paper down. And yeah, that's the big message I want to leave today. The challenge is really in the doing, day in, day out. The challenge is not acquiring the information, the knowledge, the plan in the first instance. It's really sticking to it. That's where the magic happens. And this is why most people are stuck, again, on the diet roller coaster, up and down the scale, up and down the scale, even if otherwise they might have quite a good plan, because they're just not changing enough during this process to really make it click, to make it feel automatic, to make it feel, again, cliche, like a lifestyle and not a diet. And again, that's the difference between dieting and actual weight control. You like it, right? You like it. These are your standards now. You live by this code. You enjoy this lifestyle. It doesn't take the force, the willpower, the discipline that you used to think it did, because it's become who you are. It's become part of your identity. It's become part of your routine every single day. And we are creatures of habit. And that is an advantage as well as a disadvantage, because if you've got bad habits, it's really hard to break out of them, because you like familiarity, you like habits. We do as human beings. But if you've got good habits, wow, it's really hard to mess them up. And this is why I always talk about this concept to you. You have to flip your default setting, and it takes time and repetition, but you can get there. But so many people give up too soon. Or like I say, the other possibility, maybe probability, is they've got an extreme plan, so they can't help but give up too soon. But even folks with the sustainable plan don't really stay the course long enough, I find, to get that genuine internal transformation. And this is what we do. And everything in my program stems from my own learning. So this is why I put so much emphasis on the mindset, on the emotional eating, on the cravings. And I constantly, not to blow my own trumpet, but I do, he's about to compliment himself as he blows his own trumpet. I do constantly get complimented on, oh, Ryan, it's a breath of fresh air to hear someone talk about the mindset stuff and the cravings and the emotional eating and the binging, etc., 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 because it just feels like the rest of the plant-based space is talking about, here's what I eat in a day, guys, here's some recipes. Again, tactics, strategy, recipe ideas, meal composition, breakdown, etc., etc., talking about macronutrients, protein, all of that content, all of that information, acquiring that knowledge for yourself. It absolutely is paramount. but it shouldn't take so much of your attention that you're neglecting to focus on what's going to make me consistent, because that's the big elephant in the room here, and that's why people stay stuck in the diet cycle. That's it from me today. See you in the next video.